Welcome back again, guys. This is day number 2 with the project. I'm sorry to say the weather was kind of bad yesterday when we were doing the painting, so this is definitely not the best paint job, but it will work. Right? I know you could do a better job than this. That's all right. But we had to stop early yesterday because the rain was falling, the place was kind of overcast, and it was too cold. The paint wasn't drying good enough. We still tried and give it a hurry paint, but this is what we got so far. It will work, as I said. You could do a better job. And the next step now, so we're going to continue today. The next step is to get these containers back into the cage. We're going to show you how to do that. Keep watching. Thanks, guys. Okay, folks, when you're placing the fish tank back in the cage, you want to remember something. The cage is metal, and you just paint your fish tank with where you just put paint on plastic. It's kind of easy to scrape off, dig off, right? So when you're placing the tank inside, you want to make sure it's better to get help. So like Sean and I are here, make sure to press these corners inwards so that when the barrel is going down, the ends, the sides will stay away from the cage while it's going down inside. Okay, guys, that's how we get in the fish tank part of the project. When you put the water, when you fill this tank up with water, whatever side is not pressed down as it should be, trust me, the weight of the water will carry it right down and it will sit flat. Just make sure to clean out, make sure there's no objects below the cage before you put the tank in. Right?
Okay, guys, now the next step is to put in the media bed at the top. Okay, now in order for the media bed to stay at the height where we want it, we need to insert some supports. Now remember, the media of choice for this project is gravel, and gravel is very heavy. So if you're going to use gravel as well, then you need to put in enough supports to hold up the weight of the grow bed. So what we have chosen to do is to use some RHS. Now this is the zinc RHS, which is better because it won't rust. Okay, and we're going to measure the distance across the width of the IBC tank, not the length, but the width, which is usually shorter. So when I pull my tape there, I see we have 40 inches here. So we're going to cut it 1 inch extra, which is 41. So you'll have an extra lip, 1 inch lip, half-inch lip, sorry, on either side of the bed. Okay, so now on our length of our chest, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to measure out 40, 41. You see we have 41 there. See, I already marked it. And for safety, we're going to cut 4 pieces of this to make sure that we have ample support for the grow bed. Okay, so let's get to the cutting.
Okay, guys, before I place the grow bed back into the IBC cage, what I like to do is put some silicone in this cover, especially in the inner part of the cover, because sometimes it tends to leak, right? The outer part has a rubber seal, so as long as you tighten this hard enough onto where it's supposed to go here, you're not going to get a leak. But this inner part tends to leak a lot of the time, so I'm just going to put a little bit of silicone, fill up this inner piece, and also coming around here. Okay, do it and make sure that it's airtight. Make sure you're not seeing any holes in it, because anywhere that you see a hole, water will escape through there. And now, time to cover this up. What I tend to do sometimes to make sure that the cover is really tight is take a piece of steel or a piece of board or something like that and just place it on one of the grips and tap it. Not too rough to break the cover off, just tap it so that you'll get to tighten it a bit more. Right, that should be enough. That should be pretty tight now. What I want to do next, I'm gonna cut these little hoops off. The reason being, this is exactly where the pieces of steel are going to line up. Both steels will not be able to fit through this, so I'm going to completely cut this off so that the pieces of steel will just rest exactly here on both sides. This is where I want the support. Let's go. Now we're going to put in the support beams. I want you to count 1, 2 and place the beams on the inside of your second height and make sure and center it off. Now the reason why we cut an extra inch is so that we'll have a little overlay right here, so that we don't want, when the gravel starts pressing on the beam, that the RHS could slip and fall onto the inside. No, you want it to be hanging over so you have enough support, enough leverage for the steel to be resting on. Time to put in the grow bed. Simple as that. That's how we place the grow bed in. So what we're going to do now, guys, for extra support on the ends and all around, we're going to take the tech point screws and drill the tech point screws through the plastic into the metal here. What I like to do when I'm drilling, I try to drill the tech point screws below not below, at the point where these supports are, where these columns are, if you want to call it that. I tend to drill the tech point screws at this point. Why? Because I know there's a downward support right here. So time to drill. Okay guys, the next step, we're going to drill the hole in the grow bed for the standpipe. Right, now this is the bulkhead that we're going to use to attach the standpipe, and this is the hole saw that we're going to use to drill the hole. What you want to make sure when you're getting your hole saw is that the hole saw fits like just a bit over this part of the bulkhead, but it should not be bigger than the rubber washer that you see here. It should not be bigger than the rubber washer. So it must fit something like this, because this part goes through the hole and this part stays outside. This is what creates the seal, so that water will not pass and get through where you don't want it to pass. Every time I use the hole saw, especially if I'm cutting plastic, I mean this would not work if you're cutting like wood, but for plastic I always cut on the reverse. The reason being, because of these sharp edges and this kind of grip, it grabs onto the plastic, and sometimes it could rip the plastic and cut where you don't want it to cut. It could rip the plastic. Next thing, you have a long line ripped into the plastic. You don't want that. The reverse of it actually gives you a nice, neat, smooth cut on the plastic as well. So let me show you. And where I'm going to drill is on the deep end of any one of these corners. You could put yours, but I'm just going to put mine in the front, in one of the corners on the deep end. Make sure that the surface is clean before you install the bulkhead. Now we're going to install the bulkhead. Make sure that this rubber seal is on the upside. of the IBC tank. Stick the bulkhead in and then use this bottom end and screw it on below. Now bulkheads usually screws the opposite direction to a normal screw. Okay, give this a good hand tight, and if you have a vice grip or something like that, you could tighten it a little bit more, but don't over tighten it because sometimes it slips and breaks out the teeth, the grip on the bulkhead, on the threading.